Are you done, Gavin? What?
This is the worksheet that I made.
Good job, buddy. Okay, well, and where do you think he'll land?
What spot do you think the man will land on?
What do you think?
3.
Why?
Yeah, because he's going to drop slate. He's not going to go like...
So explain it.
Okay.
Why didn't you just type out your answer too, you weirdo? That's okay, write it down.
And I'll take me to my notebook and hopefully Mr. Wimpy will count it, right?
And if he doesn't, that's the... Gavin, get off that.
Hi.
Hello? Anyone there? Why is this feature disabled? Gavin, please answer the science homework and then please put everything away. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. If it's not done in 5 minutes, there's going to be a consequence. What? That's cool that you can borrow books from the library on your Kindle.
You think I should try some tonight? And you get them for 2 weeks. And they go off and then you can borrow another one. I talked to the librarian about it today. Instead of getting books, I went to learn a way to get books whenever you want, right? And you could take out up to 4, Mom. Pretty cool, right? Mom, do you want me to use it on your Kindle a little too? They have over 131 books. They've out of my mind. Stick at the car. Beep. I think Mr. Matthews would be mad, but be happy that I actually did it, right? The experiment, right? Okay. I know exactly how to do this. Mom.
What, my dear?
Let's set the book for you. You could pre-order the new diary if you want the kid book. You know what it's called? Purple marbles, oranges are falling down and be like magic 8 balls. Do you think that's what it's called?
Hello. Tim, are you there?
This is Samantha.
What?
There's this kid who had a 15 launch attentions already. His name is Bailey. Really? Just bad. So, Mom, I really don't like our bus driver.
Really?
Because we couldn't figure out what seats we were in today. So he's like, if you don't sit in your right seats one more time, I'm going to write you all up.
Well, that's not a good way to talk to people, but that doesn't mean that he's right or wrong.
He's wrong.
Gavin, do you think it's easy for him to have to deal with people?
And I also think it's wrong that the luncheon made us walk laps. Not walk.
So this is working. Let's see what's going on. Tim, can you write comments? Do you hear me? I want it so that you actually can be on here face to face, because this way I can hear you and know what your questions are. Are you there? Tim, do you need a link? Are you there?
Hello.
Hey, it worked.
Oh, wow.
What? Is it working?
I think.
Okay, good. So you're in. Yay.
I can see you.
I can't see you, but I can hear you, so that's perfect.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Do you have your camera on? Gavin, get away.
It's turning on, I think.
Okay. Gavin, go away.
I don't know. I keep hitting turn camera on, and it's not really doing anything.
What I can see from you is it says something you can, and it says please start your cam. Now, if you want to test it, over in the left-hand corner where it says control room, it's like a gray box with rainbows and a little lever.
Yep.
Okay. If you click on that, on the right-hand side, you should see like the camera on or off. You should be able to push that and make it work.
You lied to me.
I lied.
You lied.
No, it's not working.
No. Is it okay?
I'm trying to do my college class.
At the kitchen table.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go upstairs.
I would go somewhere else and get away from the kitchen table.
Gavin likes sneaking in.
You lied to me.
It doesn't feel better?
You told me I seen you call it tonight. I only saw the chiropractor.
Oh. I thought
They were
Paul...
both there, so I was able to give Paul a lot of crap.
Okay, let me go upstairs.
Probably a good move. You probably want to use the headset to get better audio.
Are you there yet?
No, I can hear you, but I can't. I don't know. My camera's not working.
Okay, that's fine. It's just nicer when it works.
Yeah.
So, the only thing is, can you share your screen? On the left-hand side again, I think it's a yellow arrow.
Screen share. Let's
Green
see.
arrow.
Well, so I I shared it.
Okay, cool. So, do you want to pull up your lesson plan and we can go through it, or no?
Sure. Let's see here. Whoa. It's thinking. All right.
I like
I
your
also
coconut
put these
sheet.
on. I have these out on a Google Drive too, but
Okay. Oh,
okay.
good. Okay.
Can you see it?
Yep, I can see it. Content. Group solution with other groups. Key vocabulary. Wow, a lot of vocabulary. Coconut, monkey, sailor.
Yeah.
Sailor's actually a good one. Sailor's actually a really good one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure how much to put in there because
What grade level are you gearing this towards?
well, this is Algebra 1, so it's 8th grade typically.
Okay. All right, perfect.
Like you said, there might be some 6th grade level people there.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Good essential question. Okay.
Now, is that essential question for just
See-
this lesson or for the whole unit?
Well, here's the deal. Essential questions were originally created by Grant Wiggins and Jay McTighe. They're actually gentlemen from Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And their whole idea behind essential questions are, what are the guiding questions that move our instruction? Unfortunately, just like anything, people have started to interpret it as kind of what's the learning, which is a little different.
Okay.
So, and it's funny, I'm going to share with you a lesson plan in a minute that's like backwards design a little bit.
Okay.
And, yeah. So yours is one because it is answerable, but it's still broad enough that there's more than one answer.
Yeah, there's no one right answer.
Right. And that's kind of what you're looking for. And then
Right.
it's kind of, if you do a really good essential question, like it can kind of be your theme for the whole year. Like, how does math make our life better?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and like, it's kind of nice for kids because it puts, when we talk about scaffolding, it puts everything like in a framework or context.
Right.
So
Right.
that's where it comes from. But most
Okay.
people don't use them correctly.
Okay. For my materials,
Okay.
so I'm going to have a handout for the problem itself.
Okay.
Hold on, actually, I'll bring that up for you. So that's what that's going to look like.
Did you make it?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I put all
Go
the
on.
cute little pictures on there.
Do you have do you have marooned as one of your vocabulary words?
No, should I look through and make sure I have any weird ones?
Yeah, probably. Because I know high schoolers who won't know that.
Okay. Marooned, inhabited.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I took out some more complicated words too, so I'll make sure I have those. So I have a whole, explanation of a problem, which I'll go over with the class. And then I do have a couple, like, if you have time questions,
Good.
in case the groups are fast.
No, it's always over planned.
Yeah. Just in case the groups are fast. So let me go back to my plan here.
That looks good.
So that's the problem worksheet. Then I'll have to bring in some physical things to represent coconuts if people want to, actually.
Well, that also too meets into the SIOP model because you're doing the physical representation.
Yeah. Yep. And also, like, I have here labels for the board. So some of these vocabulary words on the left, I'll write them out and put them on label on the board.
And this is where
I
what might be a neat idea, and again, these are just suggestions. You do not have to take them.
Okay.
Is you might want to do a vocabulary like worksheet, and on one time have the math vocabulary, and the other side have the problem vocabulary. Like kind of like a
Okay.
T-chart.
Yep, I'm writing that
Do you know
down.
what again, I don't know, but that might be really nice. And then that way you don't have to spend a ton of time going over the vocabulary that's not important or
Okay.
that is just important to understand, the problem.
Okay. All right. And then I'm also going to have some warm-up problems.
Okay, so yes, so how are you entering class? Let's go down a little bit. Can you scroll down a little bit? Because all I can see is the SIOP. I have your essential questions, your homework. Okay, here we go. Okay. So so for the warm-up, are they going to be on the board? Is it going to be something that you hand them, like at the desk, a slip of paper, something like that?
It's probably something. I mean, in a regular math class, I guess you just have a notebook out, notebook and paper already, and it would
Okay.
just be something I would write on the board.
Okay, so beautiful. So you'll have it on the board.
Yeah, and so that's also kind of my building background. Like while they're doing the warm-up problems, I mean, I'll roam around and check to see how they're doing, what they're struggling with, and because I've kind of seen this in like in my kids' classes when they're doing math. The teacher kind of roams around, and if there is something that a lot of kids have problems on, she'll kind of re-explain it. If it's just,
That's called just-in-time teaching.
Okay.
So
Right.
the name for it is called just in time, and it's kind of like the theory that we when we read the article the other night, not to teach something just in isolation, but that you teach it when it becomes pertinent and important for the students to move forward.
Yeah, and if it's just one person struggling with it, I can help them. So then we'll all just kind of review them together. So that's the building background. The problem is I have, and actually that brings me on a side note. I have this like one-page lesson plan.
Okay.
Is it okay to have like and well, I'll have the one-page lesson plan. Also have the problems. I might have like another page with my own notes on it. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
fine. Like a teacher
Okay.
guide?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's kind of extra. All right. Um,
The only
so
Okay, so another thing I want to call, and this is again because I didn't go through it clearly, and that's why it's kind of good that we can do this and talk about it. So with the anticipatory set, and I like that they called it building background, but the A set was originally developed by Madeline Hunter, and I don't know, in the 40s, 30s. I'm making up years, but the whole idea is it's what is going to be the hook into your lesson. What's going to be that exciting thing that are going to get them enthused about what you're doing today. So the
Okay.
building background kind of goes more along with the warm-up, if that makes sense.
yeah, right. That's kind of what I thought.
Okay. And
So-
say, all right, so your anticipatory set is like, so for instance, if I was going to teach something about logistics, what I would do prior to have them understanding like how to set up a delivery place or something, I might say, okay, move into groups of 4, and I want you to get this tissue box to this desk as quickly as possible.
Okay.
So like kind of like something like a fun, exciting activity that, okay, that's what you have to do in logistics. The whole idea is to take an item and get it to a location as quickly as possible. Now, you all chose different ways to do it. Why did you choose that way? So on and so forth. Does that make a little bit more sense?
Yes, I'm thinking. Yes.
And part of it is the problem with this lesson plan layout, which is unfortunate for you because this is not the one I would have originally given you.
Okay.
Because it's one that's, again, tiered or geared towards ELLs. Not that it's a bad one to use, but the anticipatory set is like your hook.
Okay. All right. I'll think of something.
Okay.
Um,
And again, and I will tell you, like, there's some teachers who don't bother, like, trying to make everything enthusiastic and exciting and stuff like that. I enjoyed coming up with anticipatory sets because I felt like it was a big way to build scaffolding and make connections and everything.
Sure. And you said this is kind of like should end up being kind of a model
Yes.
lesson plan. Okay. So let's see, lesson focus, teacher modeling. So I'll read the coconut problem to the students, interact with them as a group to kind of write down important information on the board. So this will be some verbal kind of back and forth to just kind of make sure we're all on the same page of what's being asked.
Okay.
You know? 'Cause it's a fairly involved problem. It's a big, long word problem. And so the guided practice, independent practice, I don't know, we're kind of the same thing, or they're kind of happening at the same time, sort of. So I'll have the students divide into groups who work collectively, which I need to respell, to collectively work on the problem, using a strategy of their own design. And I'll kind of roam between the groups to, check on their strategies.
Okay.
To see, what they're interested in doing, right? How do they think that whether they'll do it physically? Will they draw pictures? Who knows? Maybe you'll have an advanced group that'll sit down and start writing equations out, Okay. And then the independent practice is as they're working on their strategies. In fact, this might be kind of another. It might be another little handout I have because the problem itself takes a whole page. I might have like a little, little simple form that they can explain what their strategy is, and write down what their result is.
Okay.
Because inevitably they're trying to figure out, the answer to the problem. And again, I'd be roaming between the groups to check on their individual participation.
Okay.
And then the review assessment is. Like for this class example, there's two groups. There'd be two groups of 4. I'd have, okay, split the groups up and now mix. So 2 from one group go to the, and another group, and then they would share with each other what their different strategies were.
Good.
And then right after, after they do that for a few minutes, we can all talk about it together as a class.
Okay.
Then I'm not quite sure what to do if there's anything between that and like giving them.
Okay, so what I'm looking at right now, and again, I don't know about, because I didn't read the program carefully going through it. So your warm-up's going to take about 5 minutes, okay?
Yeah.
You walking around with it maybe adds it up to like 8 minutes maybe, because as they're doing them, you're walking around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, are they going to share them after that, like time, the work time?
Yeah, we'll all talk about the warm-up problems together. Yeah.
Okay, so then we're probably at 10 minutes then total for the warm-up, maybe like a little bit more. Okay. So then with the lesson focus, going through, reading it, talking about the pertinent information, having people write on the board, interaction, that's going to be about probably 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
The guided practice, when they go, that's probably going to be 5 to 10 minutes. And then the independent practice will probably be with the grouping, because remember they have to move, will be another 10 minutes. So you're looking probably at about 40 minutes. So that's good.
Okay.
For 8th graders, that time frame.
Okay.
What I would add is prior reading the coconut problem, as I said, the transition between wrapping up the warm-up is that A set. Like that, okay. that hook to get them involved.
Okay. All right, I can think of something.
Yeah, and sometimes it's like a few second thing. Like it's not always as elaborate. Like sometimes, like it might be like a little short video clip. It might be, an imagination thing. Like imagine that you're stuck on an island. Well, this is what we're going to go on today, but here's the beautiful part. Like it can be something little like that. It doesn't have to be elaborate, but it's like you love math, and it's good that you assume that every kid loves math.
Yeah.
But this is the kind of thing that gets the kids, that even if they don't like the content area, gets them drawn in.
Right. Okay.
So, all right. Now, what I'm going to show you, it's a 5th grade one, so it's a little bit elementary. Ha ha ha. But
What do I need to look at? I need to go back to the Google.
Right. Yeah. Let me see
Oh,
if I can
my.
find it though.
I don't even know where it was.
That's okay. Lesson sequence. Okay. Oh no, of course mine's gone. Great. I had it all set, ready to go, and now I can't find it. Give me a minute. Are you there?
I'm still here, yep.
Okay.
I wish my camera would work.
Yeah, that's all right. The first time I did this, I tried to do one on something, and it was like ridiculous. Like nothing worked. One person you could see and you couldn't hear the volume. The other person you could hear and couldn't see. So let me find, where is that thing? Give me 1 minute. There we go. Let me download it. Okay. This should be fine now. Give me 1 minute.
Oh, I know. The other question was, after we're done teaching all this,
Yes.
you want us to give a a little talk on the whatever strategies we use from the book.
Yes.
And I'll probably have my own notes on that. Is that
That's
anything?
fine. That part's not. That part's more to help each of you guys out and like see if they recognize it. I'm assuming that you're doing the grouping strategies. Yes. No.
Yep.
Okay. So.
Yes.
See.
Yep. There's the two particular ones. I'm looking it up here in my book. One is small groups and partners. The other one is cooperative learning, group interactions to accomplish goals.
I'm glad you said that. So you know how you said you were going to do that little sheet so that they could record their process as they're going through it?
Yes.
Okay, that's good with the individual accountability piece.
Yeah.
So you might want to model that for them as you're going like through it too a little bit. So like, one, what would my first step be? Like, so, or have someone model that in their group and the other people write it down.
Okay.
That was just that's something, or you could just have them write it, but the problem is if you just have them write it, they're not going to probably know how to break it up into the steps for like, how did they come to the idea? They're not good at metacognition. They're not good of thinking about how they just like, oh, I just have the answer. No, you didn't. You went through a process. So
Right.
that's another thing like that can sometimes help with that.
Yeah, as part of no, I'm looking for that. I had it written down. As part of my unit plan, I guess that's another piece of paper you want, right? But that's more of an outline. Correct?
Okay. Yeah, and this is what I was going to kind of show you right now. Now, I'm not looking for that exactly.
Okay.
Let me pull it up. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. But you can't see it very well. Or at least I can't. Maybe you can.
I can read.
Wow, I can't. Good for you.
Sample backwards. Well, now it's gone. There it is.
Oh, it's there?
Sample backwards design unit?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, and this is, again, a lot of schools are still using backwards design, so even though, like, it came out a while ago, it's still good to know, especially for interviews and stuff. It's not as prevalent as it was before. Now they're going to ask you more about Danielson and things like that,
Okay.
but it's still good to know. What I liked about this particular one is it had the unit title, it had the length and timing of the unit. They included the state standards, which that's something I've been bad with you guys about not tying into the standards, but I'll forgive myself because the students will know, students will be able to. Those are the big objectives, and what are the big ideas? I'm not going to be asking like for all of that, and that way. But we did talk about at the end, what's the assessment? Like, how are you going to know that they know?
Yes.
And then they went into the lesson-by-lesson instructional plan. That is not exactly what I'm looking for, but kind of like lesson one, cover this. It doesn't have to be as in-depth as theirs.
Okay.
Because theirs is almost like a whole like plan.
Yeah, I looked one up just today, actually. In fact, I have it on. If you want to see it, I have it on my screen.
Sure.
Let's see.
You want to go back to this?
Okay.
Stop.
Let me know.
Okay, I'm out of screen sharing. Go ahead.
So it's like 100 pages long,
Oh my gosh! No, I'm not looking for that.
and my computer's going slow. So it's a particular unit plan for math.
Okay.
And like I said, it's like 100 pages long, and I'm just quickly scrolling through it here. So they have each lesson, overview of the lesson, estimated time, handouts, lesson guiding questions, lesson sequence. Scrolling through here.
I am not looking for all that.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying I was floored by this because it had the ticket to leave. Which you had mentioned in class.
Yes.
And anyway, it had I'll close it now. It had this, the curriculum standards and stuff that each thing met, it was pretty impressive.
And something like that, honestly, how long was the unit for?
It was a few weeks.
Okay. Probably creating something like that would take 3 to 5 hours plus all the supplementary materials.
Wow.
That is one of the things, like I'm trying not to scare you guys, but that's one of the hardest things about the first couple of years of teaching.
I can see that coming, yeah.
You are giving up your life for a period of time. It does get better, but it gets a little bit better the second year. It gets a little bit better the third year. By the fourth year, usually you have a grasp of it, but it never totally goes away if you're going to be a good teacher.
Right.
So that is one of the things, like especially when I taught high school, every Sunday was devoted to lesson planning and grading.
Wow.
It's just throwing it out there. Like people think the teaching's, like such. Now middle school is a little bit different. Math is obviously less intense grading than English would be. But sure. Where the time comes is making up all those worksheets, making up all those things, finding all those problems. The good news is, though, is now you can find things off the internet like that. You could take it, you could convert it, you could see what you like, you could add what you didn't, and that just saved you like 3 hours.
Sure. Yep.
So,
absolutely.
But yeah, that's an amazing unit plan. That's probably, if your school that you are hired by has a curriculum, that's probably what their curriculum guides will look like.
Okay.
But not always. So give me a second. All right, so you've got a lot of strategies. We talked about the A set. What other things do you feel like you need?
I just wanted to ask you a quick question about I don't have anything written out yet for my or typed up, for my unit plan, but I was thinking of my unit being basically problem solving and mathematical modeling. So
okay,
really,
mathematical modeling's huge.
Yeah.
That could be like a whole. I have a book actually I can bring you if I remember. It's a 7th grade mathematical modeling book from Singapore Math. It's pretty good. So
yeah, that's so it's. It can go on into upper level chapters in a book or whatever. But I figured there'd be lessons on linear equations and then applications with those. Quadratic equations and applications with those. So, I could come up with 6, 7, 8 lessons, in a couple week unit.
Okay. I am really not. Go ahead.
It really kind of the whole go through. There's there's certain steps to problem solving in math. You represent some unknown by a letter. You figure out what the relationships are with all the unknowns. There's these certain and that's just standard, out of a math textbook. There's certain processes you follow, and that's kind of the whole point of the unit is to really teach them that and be able
Okay.
to, look at a problem and be able to, use that overall strategy to come up with something, but then also to make sure that they know that using that basic strategy doesn't always look the same. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
you're using that basic strategy, and the goal is to be able to, sure, go ahead and write an algebraic equation with, some unknown variables in it. But in real life, you might end up drawing pictures, or you might end up, counting coconuts or whatever.
That is your unit objective. What you just told me is your unit objective.
Okay. All right.
At the end of this unit, the students will be able to, and how will I know that they've been able to do that? Like, what is the evidence?
Okay.
And, like, maybe what you do is you present them. And remember, tests don't have to be by themselves, kids sitting alone answering questions. I mean, that's not how the real world works all the time, So, like, your question might be you put out a bunch of different problems and, the kids work in groups of 2 and solve it, and that could be, and solve it, they select a strategy or they write down all the strategies, then they work in groups of 2, something like that. So an idea of how you'll know that they've met the objective of your unit.
Okay.
And then what you told me, the little pieces that needed to be part of it, those are kind of your essential learnings. Like the things that, like, at the end of this unit, this is what they'll know, they should know and be able to do, and they should be able to walk away with the idea of blank, 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 and blank.
Okay. I'm writing all this down.
Okay. And as I said, the 5th grade one that I showed you, and I can share it via email too.
Okay.
Please. It's nice because it's not as in depth as the one that the person who obviously is a math teacher did, but it does cover the key things, what we talked about, like what are the key understandings, how will I assess what they know, what's the overall, like, theme of my unit. So, but without telling you, like, to make sure you think about what every single lesson is going to look like.
Okay. Okay.
Now, my question to you is then, if this is your unit, where would this coconut lesson fall into your unit?
Fairly early on. I mean, would probably have a couple lessons on the basics of, linear equations and solving for 1 and 2 unknowns and things like that. Just to get them the basic skills, and then they'd move on to applications and word problems with that. So,
Okay.
It would be towards the beginning, because really this is only like a 1 unknown kind of thing. Because after that would be like quadratic equations and more complex equations.
Okay.
Although this is a fairly involved word problem, but the math itself isn't that hard.
Right, because you're teaching more the modeling and the thought process in the different ways. So that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, honestly, like, for the first time doing it, and you got to remember, like, we spent a lot of time in the other course, like, going over lesson planning. That was like 2 whole classes.
I can't wait.
Well, I don't know who's going to be teaching your literacy in the content area. So, like, you're figuring a lot of this out on your own. I mean, I know you're looking up resources and things like that, but that's good. You understand the big picture.
Oh, thank you. Good. That's good.
Yeah, no. and part of it probably is because you have children. Part of it is also because, that mathematical, like, as you said, like, what's the deliverable?
Yeah. In fact, I was talking just today. I'm like, sometimes I wish I just had some math problems to solve, because I know when I'm done, and I know if I got it right.
Yes. And that is one of the nice parts about math, that when you have the right answer, it is the right answer. But again, not all kids are going to share your passion and love for math.
Right.
But that's okay, because you'll probably get some that might have never loved math to love math.
Yeah, So I started looking at. I was I'm thinking about that because my other professor for American education, one of his assignments for us is to write a philosophy of education.
Beautiful. Okay, good.
Just a one-page thing, and it's not, it's not going to really be due until December, but I'll probably have to have a rough draft later this month. But I'll probably approach it from, really heavy on math.
Yeah.
But eventually I'll put that. So I made a website last weekend.
You used Weebly.
Yeah, I used Weebly. Here, you want me to show it to you so
Sure.
far?
Yeah, I can give you feedback on that too.
I mean, there's really nothing on it yet, but it's going to be a placeholder for.
Oh, I like the what's it called, banner.
You like that?
Yeah, I do.
So that's my motto, and so under like about him, I'll put that's kind of where I'll put like my end of the summer letter, that would go home.
Okay.
And then also a little background on me, and then under his classroom part, that's where I'll put my classroom management plan.
Okay.
Did
you like the examples I shared today? Was that helpful?
Yes, the first one that you said was awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, and well, the interesting thing was a lot of what he or she, a lot of what that teacher had in there is very similar to some of the stuff that we get from our teachers.
For your kids.
Yeah, from our kids, like the letter home and what they expect, and so that was really good. That was a nice. So I'll have some of that in there, and then maybe later on I'll put my philosophy of education thing in there.
Yes.
Because my philosophy of education, I think, is gonna kind of revolve around this reasoning, creativity, persistence. What I think people can get out of math, whether or not they like it or not. You don't have to like math to be able to learn this other stuff.
The one thing I do want to add, though, and this is, I think this is there, it's just when you're looking at your philosophy of education, and mine I call a mission statement now. I had to do a philosophy like way back in the day. I should actually find that. That would be interesting, I guess, in retrospect.
Okay.
For me, it was never about content.
Okay.
It was about kids. Now, I'm not saying that's my philosophy. I'm not saying things like that.
Okay.
But whatever your philosophy is, and if it's not this, but like to think about how do you reach all kids? How do you acknowledge that every kid has their own innate worth, and the goal of as an educator is to make them what they could be, not what they are.
Okay.
Like, keep of that piece in it too, because a lot of times, and I'm saying this like novice and pre-service teachers, they're focused a lot on the content, which is fine. You have to and everything. So make sure there's that balance, because as we talked about all the time, you can be the best teacher in the world and have the best content knowledge, but if you don't connect with those kids, which I don't think you're going to have a problem with that. I'm not saying it like that. I'm just telling you to keep this in mind.
Yeah.
If you don't know each of those kids, who they are as a person, none of the other stuff matters.
Well, I like how you I wrote down what you said about, like how do I reach all kids and that they have worth. Because I think, I'm just thinking out loud here. When kind of the gut reaction when people talk about math is, most of them hate it, and some of them like it, and some of them just are good at it, but they're kind of indifferent. But I don't think I'll get too much into content part, but I kind of will emphasize that. I think kids can be, learn how to be creative, with doing math, and learn how to reason and think things out, and be persistent, and what's the other word for to persevere, to not panic, to not just give up right away. And to me, those are qualities that you can take out of doing math and apply it
To life.
to a lot of things. Yeah, to apply it to life. To just kind of be calm and take it one step at a time and not get too frustrated. And every problem is easy. Sometimes you do have to sit back and think about things and look at both sides of things to really work something out. Anyway, that's what I think.
But it's good that they're having you do that, because I think I know they do it in all education classes, but I sometimes think, like, if you don't really know why you're doing this, and again, there's always like lots of things. It really is a calling. People hate when they say that. I feel it's like just like being a doctor, or it's a calling, because it's not low pay, but it's not exactly great pay for the amount of education. And like you get dumped on as a teacher, like tons and tons and tons. Yeah. But it's also the most amazing job in the world.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, and your reach goes beyond what you even know, and that part is incredibly empowering. Like that you're making the world a better place. Like, what a great thing to say. How many people in their jobs can say that?
I have, there's a good friend in our neighborhood who's a counselor, and I have 3 sisters-in-law. Two are my wife's sisters, and one's my brother's wife, who are all teachers. So I hear both sides of like what you're saying. I hear, the horror stories, but then I also hear, the positive stuff and what they get out of it. You're talking about a calling. I should send you if I had to write an essay to get, I should show you that, because it was all about.
I lost some of that. I'm sorry. I had to write an essay and that's all, and then I lost some of it.
I said I had to write an essay to get into the program at Del Val.
Okay.
And it was all about a higher calling. Hey, you have a visitor.
Yes, I have a visitor.
Hi.
Go away.
Oh, I'm gonna be taking a.
Okay, then maybe you shouldn't run around naked. All right.
Bye.
Go away, Gavin.
Bye.
So, any other questions?
No, I think I'm good for now.
Do you feel the natives are restless? So, do you feel like you do have a handle on it? But do you feel like you have a handle on it?
Yes, I just need to, make sure I have, everything ready to go for Tuesday.
Okay.
But I have time.
You have time.
Yeah.
You want to play the dinner?
And then I can really start working on the management plan.
Yes, and that is very time consuming too. But again, it will pay itself off tenfold when you actually start teaching.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Because. Like, so many new teachers have discipline issues up the wazoo, even great ones. And seriously, this eliminates so many of the issues before they even become issues.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Alrighty.
Oh, good. Thanks.
I will see you tomorrow night. We'll talk about micro-messaging.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
I'm done. Loafers.
Kids, you can talk and talk how your face is blue. Kids, but they still just do what they want to do. Why can't be like we were perfect in every way? What's the matter with kids today?
Nice!
I put kids.